Shakti, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. What about you?
Good, man. Good.
Yes, we can start.
Good to start. Thanks, Shakti.
Yes.
Come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome, people. Nice to see you all tune in on a Friday evening. And Friday evening at 5:30 p.m. I'm here sharp, for this show called Cornerstone Weaving Workplace. And I'm your host, RJ Rudra, and you are listening to DC Live, where we care, we share, and we are on air. It's Friday, as I said, a beautiful evening at 5:30. Perfect time to tune in, relax, and learn something new to enhance your professional journey. And what do we do on this show called Cornerstone? We go ahead and talk about the art of human dynamics at work. Great. So I'm here from Detach. And at Detach, before we get into the show, I just want to make this announcement that we are running a lot of courses for all of you folks. And under the Detach Gold category, these courses are for you to learn, for you to get better with your daily work and eventually your metrics. The tagline for this program, for the Detach Gold program, is you either meet or beat SLAs. And we have a lot of courses. Please reach out to the to us and or to your supervisors, where we're running these programs for different set of projects and different set of business units. And please go ahead and find that out and enroll yourself and start picking up your best at work. All right. So with that announcement, I'm going to get into this topic. Now, this topic is something very basic, but very, very important. Now, what am I going to talk about today is something that we all sometimes really overlook. It's called the non-verbal communication. Okay, I repeat, it's a non-verbal communication that I'm going to talk about today. Much of our interactions often goes unnoticed, right? Because it's non-verbal communication. From that, what are we talking about non-verbal communication? From that reassuring smile during a tense meeting to the subtle nod that signals an agreement, non-verbal cues is what we're talking about. They really speak volumes, right? So sometimes even louder than words is what I would say. So stay with us for the rest of the show for about another 20 minutes as we explore the powerful language beyond speech. We're going to talk about something beyond speech today. We're going to talk about those unspoken signals that shape our workplace interactions, our culture, relationships, and teamwork. Okay, now before we get into anything about how do we do it, I want to talk about what is non-verbal communication. Okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly is non-verbal communication? If you ask me, it's the process of conveying a message without using words. You have to convey a message without using words. This includes, what are those things that it could include? It includes a facial expression, your body language, your gestures, your postures, eye contact, and even the tone and pitch of your voice. Which, although is vocal, the pitch of the voice is vocal, but then it's kind of a non-verbal in nature, because it's not about what you're talking there, it's about how you speak. That's the reason why it's under the non-verbal. Okay. Now, also, some research, you don't believe when I say that, right? So you don't have to believe me when I say that. Why do you have to believe when I say that? There have been researchers, there have been many studies that shows that nonverbal communication accounts for up to 70 to 90% of all human communication. Okay. Now, yeah, picturize this. When someone says, "I'm fine," okay, but your body is slouched and you avoid eye contact, that means the non-verbal message contradicts your words completely. When you say, I'm fine, with a dull voice, I'm fine, you don't seem fine, is what you would say. That's what we're talking about. At work, understanding these unspoken cues can mean the difference between effective collaboration and confusing misunderstandings. Let me take an example here, right? So let me take an example and see. A simple, firm handshake can build trust, but crossed arms, right? So during a presentation might signal disagreement or defensiveness. You keep your arms crossed and you're like this. That means you're closed. You're not open. Okay. To add all of this and sum it up, non-verbal communication is a silent language that supports, enhances, and sometimes even replaces spoken language. Okay. Now let's look at what are the different types of non-verbal communication and their workplace impact. That's what we're going to talk about. Let's break them down into some types and groups and all of that. No, it's easier to remember. It's easier to learn that way. The first thing I think I've already mentioned about it, facial expressions. Okay. Now, when you're using a chat messenger like Office Slack or any other Office communicator or a WhatsApp or anything, look at it this way, right? Someone sends a facial expression. What's a facial expression? It's an emoji, right? So that's what shows happiness, confusion, frustration, thinking. That's what you send on WhatsApp as well. Now, the same thing is what your face actually reflects. The human face is incredibly expressive, okay? And that's why emojis were built. Okay? We don't use face, we use emojis. All can be read just by looking at someone's face. Okay. That's what it is. In meetings, a raised eyebrow or a quick smile can change the entire mood. That's what it is. Eye contact is the second one. Facial expression is the first one. Eye contact is the second one. It's said the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? So the eyes are the windows to the soul. Maintaining appropriate eye contact shows confidence, interest, while avoiding it can seem evasive or untrustworthy. Remember to balance it though. Too much eye contact may feel intimidating that you're looking into someone's eyes, but then not doing it also means you're avoiding it. Okay, so that's very, very important. How much of it is too much? How much of it is too little? You got to be very, very careful about it. But do not have a meeting or a conversation without looking into someone else's eyes, the other parties. It's very, very important that you go ahead and do that. The third one is how you stand and how do you move your hands and your gestures and everything. That's your body language and posture. That's the third one. Your stance speaks volumes. Sitting upright conveys engagement. You must have seen in the school, right? So when we are a little, when we are a little relaxed, not sitting up straight, that one maths teacher will always ask you to sit straight. Yeah, has it happened to you, Shakti, in school or college when people said sit straight? Have you seen that?
No, sir.
Not to you, but someone else.
Yes, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So you're being very diplomatically, right? You don't want to put anybody into trouble.
Yes.
Right, but that has happened, right? That happens in the classroom when someone says sit straight, correct? Look at what I'm teaching. So that's when they grab your attention.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Sitting upright conveys engagement. Okay. While slouching might suggest boredom or fatigue. That's what it is. Okay. Open gestures like uncrossed arms and leaning slightly forward indicate openness. Reclining, which is behind, right? So when you're leaning back, when you're leaning with your back, that means you're not interested. So that's very, very important. So body language and posture is something that's very, very important. Okay. Now the next one is gestures. Okay. Just think about what gestures are, right? So what gestures would mean And what is that we're talking about when we talk about gestures, right? So gestures are your, is very, very important in communication. That's kind of it's a very key area of communication. Hand movements is gestures to emphasize points during conversations. However, you got to have the local culture or the other person you're talking about. Okay, a thumbs up can mean good job in some cultures, but it also can be your fingers and your hands. You've got to be very, very careful about what it could mean, right? So you really cannot point with your index fingers while you're pointing to someone. You got to use your entire all your fingers stretched when you're pointing to something while you're giving a presentation. I see that most of us will do this mistake. When you want to point, you finger your index finger, which is the finger next to the thumb, the fourth one from your little finger, and then you put it onto the board and kind of keep pointing it out. So that's a very wrong way of doing when you want to use your hand for pointing something on a presentation. You got to use your entire unfolded fingers to point at something. That's very, very important. And with using your whole hand and your all fingers unfolded is the right way of doing anything. Okay, that's what it is about gestures. Proximity and personal space. How close you stand or sit to someone in the workplace influences comfort levels. You can't invade into someone's personal space and cause discomfort, especially when you're walking up to someone's desk, okay? And how close you want to get to them. How do you want to tap? That's very, very important. You give them that space because you've gone to someone else's workspace, okay? It's very important. When someone comes to your workspace, on the other way around, do not make the other person stand and you're seated and looking at them and talk to them. Do not do that. Either offer them a seat, look into their eyes straight face to face and talk, or you stand up. You don't have another chair to offer, just stand up and you talk to them. Okay. One of them being seated while the other, is standing is a very, very unprofessional way of doing things, people. Okay. And touch, all right? So when limited in corporate, and it's a little limited in corporate environments, but what I mean by touch is your handshake, a pat on the back, or a congratulatory high five are powerful non-verbal tools to boost morale. But be careful when it comes to touch. It should be very professional. A handshake, pat on the back, or a high five. These are the things that I'm talking about. Okay. Now, I want to get into a new term, and this term is called paralanguage. This refers to the tone, pitch, speed, and volume of your voice. There are 4 things in paralanguage: your tone, your pitch, the speed, and the volume. Meaning, that's your tone, the way you say something, your pitch, your rise and fall in your voice, the speed in which the words are spoken, and the volume, meaning how high do you sound or how low do you sound is what we're talking about. Now, let's say you want to say, well done. Okay, well done. Thank you. Please. Please is the most, I always say this, right? So please is the most rudest way when you say please. Okay. Well done. Okay, you want to say, well done. Yeah. So in what tone do you say that is very, very well done? That's kind of a warm tone. Thank you. Right. So you say, thank you. That means what? You're being sarcastic there. Thank you. That's the right way of saying this. Yeah. An enthusiastic tone. That's why the paralanguage is very, very important. Can you please? Yeah. So please, can you do this for me, please? That's the way. That's your tone, pitch, speed, and volume that we're talking about. Now, recognizing these cues help you become a better communicator. Okay, not just in expressing yourself, but also in understanding your colleagues. Okay. Now, let's quickly look at some of the some of the things that we can put this into practical use. Okay, let's get practical. You always will ask me for this, right? So come on, you keep talking about it, but then you never tell me how to do that. So I always do that. That you can always go ahead and see how well can you use all of these things. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, great. So Shakti, what's the best way that you communicate non-verbally? What are the things that you take care when you talk to people?
Non-verbally means, sir?
Without using words.
Handshake, sir.
Handshake. Okay, great. Okay, in a team meeting.
Hand
sign. Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, right. Great. Let's quickly talk about a couple of things here, people. So imagine this, right? So you're leading a team meeting. Okay. Now Shakti said he does a firm handshake, use hand movements, gestures. Okay. Shakti does that. But you notice some team members folding their arms or avoiding eye contact. They're looking somewhere else. They're nodding their head occasionally, but then you know that they're not listening. Okay. What could that mean? Perhaps they are not fully engaged. They're very skeptical about what you're talking. Now, some tips to decode and improve nonverbal communication at work is what I'm going to talk about on the next. Be mindful of your own signals. Start from your end. Start from yourself. Before you speak, check your own body language. Are your arms crossed? Are you making eye contact? Your nonverbal cues set the tone for others. That's very important. Match words with actions. Make sure your body language and tone align with your words. Mixed messages create confusion. Okay. You're talking an exciting point, but then you're kind of just very not energetic. You're making that phrase and statement with a lot of dull tone and a facial expression. So that doesn't match. Practice active listening. Show your listening by nodding, leaning forward, and maintaining eye contact. Okay. Observe others. Take note of colleagues' nonverbal cues to better understand their feelings or hesitations. Okay. Also, be culturally sensitive. Different cultures interpret gestures and personal space differently. When working with diverse teams, be patient and learn those differences. What could mean in one culture, what could mean right in one culture can be absolutely wrong in another culture. So you got to be very, very neutral. Be culturally sensitive to it. That's your cultural intelligence. Okay. Use positive non-verbal reinforcement. Smile, give a thumbs up or a slight nod to encourage your teammates and show appreciation. Now, especially when you're a supervisor, your team leader, when you're leading people, and then when people like Shakti or Manju or Sri Lekha were on DC Live, a radio channel, right? So that has a lot of interaction, communication. Though radio is a vocal medium, but then the para language in this medium is very, very important, which is the tone, the pitch, the speed, and the volume and the emotion associated with that voice is very, very important. That's what I'm talking about, paralanguage. You don't see me, but then when you hear or when you listen to me, it should be as if I am speaking my mind to you all listeners out there. That's what I mean when you have to have a good non-verbal paralanguage. I need to reflect as if I am speaking in front of you. That's the visualization you should get from me. And this happens even on phone calls when you speak to someone. Okay. Especially for leaders, mastering non-verbal communication can inspire trust and transparency. While employees who read these cues well can anticipate needs and reduce conflict. Great, people. So I'm going to stop here for a moment and see if Shakti has a question for me, or he has anything on the chat box or the in-call messages or anywhere? Anybody?
No comments, sir.
Okay, great. Let's move on then. All right. So, okay, I'm going to give you a fun task, right? So I'm going to give you a fun task. Let's do this exercise. You can try this. Okay. The next time you are in a meeting, people, or discussing something with a colleague, meaning one-on-one or something like that, just observe their body language closely. Okay. Notice how often do they make eye contact? Is their posture open or closed? What facial expressions do they use most? Just observe that. Now, what you do is, after you made your observation, try matching these observations with the tone of the conversation that's happening there. Now, check your own nonverbal communication. Are you projecting confidence and openness? This simple practice sharpens your emotional intelligence. That's the cornerstone for successful workplace relationships. Because are you influencing the other side, or is it that conversation is not interesting, right? So how do you make it with, what do you need to change? What do you need to reflect and change is what I'm talking about. All right, people. So with that, I wrap up today's episode on nonverbal communication. Remember, this communication isn't just about what you say. It's about what you show. The next time you step in a room, leading a meeting or chat with a coworker, pay attention not just to the words, but to the whole story your body tells. Thank you for tuning in to Cornerstone Weaving Workplace. We hope you all, take these insights and weave them into your work seamlessly for stronger connections and smoother collaborations. And that's what we intend to do on this particular show. Great. Join us next Friday at the same time at 5:30 p.m. On Friday for another deep dive into human dynamics, weaving workplace, which is Cornerstone. That's the show that we call it, Cornerstone Weaving Workplace. Okay. And this is on DC Live, where we care, we share, and we are on air. Until then, keep communicating with heart, both spoken and spoken. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shakti.